Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of RC Classic Garage, where today we're back on the Alfa Romeo 1750 GTV barn find. Now, if you've been following this series, this car sat in a barn for over 40 years until I got my hands on it, and we're bringing it back to life right here on the channel. Now, up until this point, I've avoided sandblasting. And well, the reason is pretty simple, in that I've had some really bad experiences with sandblasting. When I was doing my 1969 1750 GTV Mark I, I had pretty bad warped panels after sandblasting, and it took a lot of work to get that car right. And on this very car, I sandblasted the boot lid and the bonnet, and well, both of them were ruined and landed up being replaced. So I promised myself I would not sandblast again, or at least on a very limited basis. Now, I've taken as much of the bodywork back to bare metal as possible, grinding, sanding, rust treating. And we are also replacing a lot of panels on the car where there will be new metal. So this whole section has been ground back and treated. We've replaced the door skins. We're replacing the front wings. We're replacing the front and rear valance. We're also replacing the sills. So a lot of new metal work on the car, but there are sections we are not replacing. And those panels that we're not replacing need to be stripped back properly, and my methods are just not working. Those panels are the roof, the front surround along the bonnet, and the top section surrounding the boot. Because these sections have to be absolutely clean and every bit of rust taken out of them. Otherwise, even the tiniest bit of rust is going to bubble under the new paintwork and undo all of the hard work that we have done. Now, Paul, the welder from PA Welding, has been reminding me on each visit, if you truly want to know that all of this rust is gone, blasting is the only way. So here I am weighing up the risks and rewards of doing this. The risk that we have this blasted and, well, it warps the panel or blasts tiny holes throughout the roof. On the other hand, if we don't do it, I will never truly know if we get all of these little marks out and whether it's going to bubble under the new fresh paintwork. Now, as you can see across this front panel, I've already tried. I've ground this back to metal. I've put layer and layer of rust removal again and again, and yet you can still see that there are dark patches, which will be a problem. And the same story on the roof. We've been trying various patches to see how it will hold up. So it's time to blast. I just hope we don't uncover a horror story of holes and the panels don't stretch and warp. But hey, that's the gamble of restoring classic cars, right? So I've brought in Surrey Industrial Blasters to tackle this job. And just to be clear, this isn't a paid promotion. I'm just sharing who I used because I know many of you will ask. Now, the reason I've chosen them is simple. They're mobile, and they actually come to your house, set up on your driveway, and get the job run right here. For me, that's a huge plus. Everything done at home, and I can keep my eye on it and stop it if things get bad. Alright, here we go. The compressor's running, the blaster is set up, and this is the moment of truth. We're starting with the front top section. Notice how carefully Ben keeps the nozzle moving. That's the key. If you hold it in one spot too long, that's when the panel overheats and warps. Constant movement, steady pressure, never dwelling in one place. That's what keeps the metal safe. Now, Jason from Surrey Industrial Blasters is a proper classic car enthusiast himself. He's got his own classic cars and he's blasted countless classic shells. And he really knows the difference between fragile panels and heavy steel. He offers all sorts of media blasting, soda blasting for delicate jobs, glass, bead, and of course the more aggressive grip blasting. I will leave a link to their website in the description below. Now, he assured me right from the start that blasting was the right call, and that done properly we won't have any issues with warping. Given my past disasters, he gave me some confidence to keep going with this job. And straight away you can see the rust lifting out of those pits. Grinding and sanding tends to just polish over the top, but blasting digs right into the pores of the steel. Look at that, bright, clean metalwork coming through. It's satisfying and a bit terrifying at the same time. Those black specks that were left behind was exactly what I was worried about. That's rust that would have haunted under the new paintwork if we'd left it. But blasting chews it out. That's why, as much as I fear blasting, sometimes it's the only way if you want true peace of mind. Okay, and now we're onto the roof. This is the scary part. It's a huge flat panel, and if it goes wrong, it's game over. Replacing a GTV roof is not something I want to even think about. Now watch carefully how he's working here. Fast sweeps across the surface, never lingering. That spreads the heat and avoids stretching the metal. This is the difference between somebody who just blasts and someone who knows classic cars. Now let me give you a bit of background on this roof. This car was originally ochre yellow from the factory. But if you look here under the maroon paint, there's no trace of that yellow on the roof at all. That tells me the roof has been taken right back to bare metal at some point in the past. And I suspect it was left bare for too long before it was repainted. The result? Moisture crept in, got trapped under the maroon paint, and that's exactly what caused the bubbles and blistering we've had across the roof. So today, the blasting is doing two things. It's correcting those old mistakes, and it's making sure we don't repeat them. Once the roof is stripped, treated, and sealed properly, those bubbles will be gone for good, and we'll make sure the steel is protected straight away so it never happens again. Now I should say as well, there are different blasting medias. Some are more gentle that don't warp the panels, but struggle with deep rust like this. Others are more aggressive. We're using traditional grit here because it's aggressive enough to cut through the rust, but with the right technique it won't damage the steel. And here's the difference. The good steel comes out shiny and bright. The rustier sections stay dark and pitted. Now Ben comes back to them over time and ensures that the black spots are removed. They're on the surface, but he's very careful not to stay in one spot for too long because that's what generates the heat and the warping. Now blasting on the driveway like this does create a bit of a mess. There was dust everywhere for a little while, and let's just say my wife wasn't thrilled with me using the driveway for this. But here's the thing, Jason assured me they cleaned up, blew it all away, and after a bit of rain in a couple of days, you'd never know it happened. Honestly, it was a risk worth taking. I got the convenience of doing it at home. So that's a win in my book, even if I had to do a bit of groveling afterwards. Now I'll admit, I'm breathing a huge sigh of relief here. No distortion, no warping, and the roof looks better than expected. There are some pits, but no holes, nothing catastrophic. This is a big win. Now these edges are always worse than the middle because water collects here. Now I've got to say, ours are so solid, almost perfect. This is turning out far better than I'd feared. And now we're moving to the back roof pillars and along the top of the boot section. Now these are areas I always approach with caution because water loves to creep in and around the rear screen and under the boot seal. But look at this, the blasting is revealing clean, solid metal all the way through. No hidden rot, no nasty surprises. That's exactly what I wanted to see. Now here, around the rear window, is usually a trouble spot for these cars. But again, steels come up beautifully. No holes, no soft spots, nothing that needs repairing. It's actually rare to find a GTV this solid in these sections. So I'm over the moon at how it's looking. And finishing up around the boot lip and rubber channel, again, notorious as a rust trap, the blasting's going right into these seams, cleaning them perfectly, and again, it's all good news. Strong metal, no corrosion, no welding needed. Now I've got to say, I'm really happy with the way this is coming out. After worrying what we might find in these hidden areas, to see it coming up so clean and so solid is such a relief. This gives us a fantastic foundation for the next stage of the restoration. Next we moved on to the passenger door, which is in reasonably good condition. But I just want to show you the lengths I went through to avoid blasting on this passenger door. First, I tried paint stripper, washing it off with a high pressure cleaner. I did the same on the front and the back of the door. Now the paint came off, but spots remained. I then gave it a good degrease and then decided to grind it back to bare metal, even using heat and a wire brush. But I was still left with a stubborn rust film, and I wasn't happy. So at the end, with the blasting going so well, I decided to hand him the door as well. And well, the blasting did its thing, because the result, perfect. Exactly the clean metal I wanted. Honestly, I should have saved myself all the time and gone straight to blasting from the beginning. So there we are, bonnets around, boots around, roof and door all blasted. And thankfully, no disasters. The metal's solid, the truth is out, and we've got peace of mind that there's no hidden rust lurking under the surface. Now, one of the nice things about blasting is that it doesn't just remove rust. It also leaves a surface texture that's perfect for primer to grip. But bare metal can flash rust within hours, so you've got to move fast. So straight after blasting, we cleaned the metal, applied a rust killer to neutralize anything that might still be in the pores. And once that dried, we went straight into rust preventative primer. Getting the grey primer on is always a big milestone for me. It's the moment I can say I'm happy with this stage of the metalwork on this panel. From here, I'm handing this panel over to the paint shop. Now I know they may well sand some of this back off, but for me the primer signals something important, that I've taken these sections right back to clean metal, dealt with the rust, the metalwork, and whatever else the panel needs, and then given them proper protection. It means no flash rusting, no going backwards, and it shows the panel are ready for the next stage, and it's really satisfying too. This is the sandblasted door, and as you can see, it's in really good nick. Nowhere near as bad as the driver's door, which we repaired. There are just a few minor patches which Paul will need to weld, but nothing major this time. No need for new skins or replacing the bottom half. So we'll give it the same treatment as before. A layer of rust killer, followed by rust preventative undercoat, and just with a bit of welding left and a fresh set of hinges, this door will be as good as new. So there you have it, sandblasting the Alfa Romeo GTV roof, bonnets around, boots around, and door. Well, classic car restoration is always a game of risk versus rewards. And sometimes you have to take the gamble. And well, this time we did, and it's paid off. And yes, there was dust all over the driveway, and my wife nearly banned me from ever doing it again. But it's been absolutely worth it. There's been no warping, no disasters, and the car is now in the best possible shape to move forward. And luckily, well, the driveway has recovered nicely after a bit of rain. So let's take a quick walk around to see where we're at with the car. So the back and the boot have been done. The driver's side rear end has been sorted. The driver's door and sills have been repaired and replaced, along with the inner wing at the front end. The cross member has been replaced. And now, of course, the whole top section of the car. So guys, join me in the next episode where we tackle the remaining sections of the car. We have a few repairs to do on the inner wing. We will be rehanging the door and completing the left side of the car. I will also be answering a few of your questions, like how many hours we spent on the bodywork. I will also give you an update as where we are with the budget compared to the initial budget I set for the car. So please make sure you like, please make sure you subscribe, and see you all next time. Ciao.